Hello again, YouTube family. Thanks for joining me on this video. It's been several weeks since I've posted on my channel on YouTube. I want to start this video by explaining my absence. And it's two-part. One is I've been working more hours at work. I've been working at least 48 hours per week at work, sometimes 60 hours per week. Between 48 and 60, basically, hours I've been putting in at work, and so I've not had as much time outside of work. And in addition to that, I've been working on another video that's taking quite a while to put together. I've not got it done yet, obviously, because it's not posted on my channel. And the other video I'm working on is a bit of a departure from what I normally do. Normally I stick straight to social and political commentary of what's going on in current events, and the video I'm working on is more of talking about the life of someone who you're not going to read about in history books, you're not going to find in a museum, but it's an average guy who lived a rather unique experience, being born in 1922, serving in the United States Army Air Corps in World War II, and then growing to old age. He's passed away. Has been passed for quite a few years now, but his life, I'd read a snippet of it, and that got me intrigued, so I started digging around on the internet to find more pieces of his life to try, and I had a desire to put a video out detailing his story. I believe his story is both unique, interesting, and has life lessons in it that this guy learned in his life. I think he definitely grew and learned through his unique experience. Later in life, he spoke to youth, he spoke to various people and tried to help them glean what they could from his unique experience. But that's the video that I'm trying to put together. I have yet to create any video for it. I've been mostly putting together the information. I had to go through multiple websites to source the information, make sure everything was as accurate as I could get it, and I've completed the outline for the story. I still have to put together B-roll video footage to play while I tell the story of this guy's life. There's not, like I said, he's not some politician's son, he's not some rich person's son. There's not a whole lot of video or anything available for the guy. He's an average person who lived a very unique experience, and sometimes I believe average people live interesting lives that should be told, that people should have the ability to hear. This is one of them. It captured my attention, got me reading it, and then trying to work out in my head, putting together a story to tell on my channel about it, and that's what I'm working on. That project has taken up a lot of my spare time, and I've not been getting around to ranting about the BS going on in social and political affairs currently. But I've decided I'm going to continue putting out these videos, even if not many people are interested in watching. I'm going to keep doing what I do, and I'll eventually get that story put together. I'm going to go on a vacation in the middle of June to go back east. I'm going to visit my mom, my sister, my nephew, and some of my mother's relatives. Hopefully I'll have a chance to visit my Aunt Stella, Uncle Danny while I'm back there, because I'm going to initially fly to Kentucky, then we're going to go to Tennessee for a memorial for a couple of my mother's siblings who passed away, and we weren't able to have anything for them last year because of coronavirus, and that's what's going on. So, middle of June, I'll be on vacation doing that, and outside of that, I'm putting together the video. Hopefully, I'll have the video that I've been working on done before I take that trip. And around that, I'm going to continue putting out these videos that I do. Again, thanks for bearing with me for that explanation, and thanks for watching. And we'll get into today's video. As you can tell by the graphic, maybe you can't tell much by the graphic, it's the desert. This video is pertaining to Arizona, and that's why you have the desert graphic to my left. And Arizona Republicans passed a measure today through committee to strip power away from the current Democratic Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs. That's what today's video is about, and it is the Republican legislature. In the state of Arizona, they have a House and a Senate. The Arizona House has 31 Republicans, 29 Democrats. The Arizona Senate has 16 Republicans, 14 Democrats. So it's nearly an even split, but it is not really an even split. Republicans have a majority. It may be a slim majority, but they have enough of a majority to pass legislation in the state unilaterally without dealing with the Democrats on their passage. And that's what they're working on now. This move by the Republican legislature in Arizona appears to be simply a partisan retaliation for Katie Hobbs' criticism of the controversial Arizona election audit. You have Republicans in the state of Arizona who have commissioned this audit of the 2020 election. I realize it's almost June of 2021. Why in the hell are people in any state ceding any resources to last year's election? But, you know, when you're a sore loser, that's what happens. And the Arizona bill that passed today in committees in both the State House and Senate places the Attorney General, currently a Republican, in charge of defending all lawsuits until January 2023. January 2023 is around the end of the current Democratic Secretary of State's term. So they're basically putting in a piece of legislation that strips power of dealing with lawsuits regarding elections away from the Secretary of State until the end of the current Secretary of State's term, in which Republicans in the House and the Senate in Arizona are hoping to get a Republican Secretary of State elected, at which point then the powers will fall back on the Secretary of State once it's a Republican. You with me? The language of the bill, this legislation intends that the Attorney General make all strategic decisions regarding election litigation and be allowed to intervene on behalf of this state if the Attorney General determines, in the Attorney General's sole discretion, that the intervention is appropriate. That is legislation. That is language directly from the bill. The legislation, which passed in the committees of the two chambers, will still have to receive a vote among the full legislature, which, as I said, leans Republican slightly, but Republican, and so it can pass easily. This legislation would also block the Attorney General from providing legal advice to the Secretary of State and limits the Secretary of State's options in employing outside legal consultation in matters of election litigation. Still with me? Republicans in Arizona are determined to try and make Donald Trump the winner of the 2020 election in Arizona. He didn't do it, and I don't believe they will succeed, but that's their intent, obviously. And the thing is, even if, like I said in a previous video, even if Joe Biden said, damn, you want Arizona that bad? You can have it. Take Arizona. I'll just say, I give up however many votes it takes for me to lose. Trump can have Arizona. Trump still didn't win the 2020 election if he gets the state of Arizona. He needs at least 3 states to win. He's tried strong-arming the election officials in Georgia, which was the narrowest victory margin for Biden, and it didn't work. Now they're working on Arizona. The Secretary of State is generally the chief administrator of elections. That's not just true in Arizona, that's true across all those states. Generally, state after state, the person who runs the elections is the Secretary of State. This came into a spotlight in 2018 when current governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, ran against Stacey Abrams. Brian Kemp, while he was running for governor, was the Secretary of State of Georgia. And as the Secretary of State of Georgia, he was in charge of the election. So you basically had a situation in Georgia where Kemp, the Secretary of State, was in charge of his own election attempt to become governor, in which he purged voters from the rolls, things like that, to help himself win. And I mean, he still narrowly beat Stacey Abrams. He barely won with the games he played, which is why Stacey Abrams has her groups in Georgia that have been going out and trying to get people to register to vote, trying to make sure people understand if their names have been purged, they need to go re-register, and stuff like that. I mean, you have Republicans and right-wing talkers like Fox News, Newsmax, the Ben Shapiro's of the world trying to accuse Stacey Abrams of doing something underhanded or illegal or unethical. No, all she's trying to do is make sure people understand they may or may not be on the voter rolls, even though they have previously registered to vote. You have all these voter restriction laws being put in place, particularly in places like Georgia. Brian Kemp is up for re-election in 2022. I think I made a video about that. Obviously in 2020, he wasn't up for re-election. Trump lost Georgia. Oh well. Brian Kemp doesn't give a damn. What he gives a damn about is his seat of power. And now that he's up for re-election next year, and there's a more than likely chance that Stacey Abrams will run for the Democrat Party's nomination in Georgia, will most likely win it, and will be competing against Brian Kemp again in 2022. And now she has these nonprofit organizations she's created to go out and get people to show up and vote, to encourage people to go out and vote, to make sure people check to see if they've been purged from the voter rolls, things like this. She's increased voter turnout in Georgia. And the increase in voter turnout turned Georgia blue for the first time in a long time in a presidential election. And it also gave victories to 2 Democrat senators, the senator hopefuls, who ousted 2 Republican incumbents. I mean, Georgia went full blue last year from the effort of Stacey Abrams' groups. I mean, it's a tribute to her that she saw that she got cheated, and rather than being like Trump and sitting around and pouting, moaning, bitching, and whining about losing, she went out and made sure that she won't lose again because people were purged from the rolls or these various things. But that's what's going on in Georgia, but that's the whole thing. The Secretary of State of a state is in charge of elections. Republicans are trying to change that in Arizona. The Republicans in the state legislature made this move while they are conducting an election audit of Arizona's largest county. They have contracted several firms to conduct their audit, including a firm called Cyber Ninjas. It's a Florida-based firm with no experience in election auditing. Not that that matters. They're not hired for experience. They're not hired to be good or efficient. They're hired for one specific goal. That's to find some way of making Donald Trump the winner in that state. Cyber Ninjas, the firm, is run by a right-wing Trump supporter who is engaged in promoting various baseless conspiracy theories. People have mocked the Cyber Ninja auditors as they have searched for bamboo fibers and secret watermarks on the ballots to make sure that they leave no conspiracy theory unchecked. And that is a lot of the mockery of Cyber Ninjas. I mean, honestly, if you listen to the guy that runs the firm, you would see why people mock him. He's a walking mockery. The guy's like Trump. He's a wealthy moron. That's basically what he is. And they're searching for bamboo fibers on ballots. They're using black lights to try and find bamboo fibers on ballots in Arizona because of a conspiracy theory that says there were this massive amount of ballots flown from China into Arizona to change the outcome of the election, which makes no sense. I mean, I don't care how dumb you are, you can't believe that. If you believe that, and I'm not big on calling people dummies, but if you believe that, you are a dummy. You are a damn dummy. Why in the hell, I don't care how stupid the criminal is, why in the hell would you fly fake ballots from China, have to go through customs into the United States just to take them to Arizona and flip a state? That's not going to change the outcome of the election. You need more than one state. It's absolutely asinine. But it's one of the various ridiculous conspiracy theories that right-wing people have turned to. And I mean, maybe it's a coping mechanism for Republicans. Maybe to cope with Donald Trump's losing the election, maybe they have to come up with fantastical stories about why it happened. I'm not sure. Katie Hobbs, the Secretary of State being attacked, called the bill an attack on Arizona voters on Twitter. And that's basically what it is. This kind of thing is very endemic to the Republican Party. I have yet to see Democrats play this particular brand of unethical politics. And I mean, that's why I say that Democrats aren't corrupt the same way Republicans are. They don't play dirty politics the same way Republicans do. I'm not saying that there aren't corrupt Democrats. I'm not saying there aren't plenty of Democrats that play corrupt politics, but not the same way. I've yet to see a Democratic state screw over a Republican who gets elected, and you do have very blue states who have had very Republican governors. I mean, for instance, Mitt Romney, who's now a senator from Utah, at one point was the governor of Massachusetts. The Democrats controlling the House, the legislature in Massachusetts, didn't strip him of his power. You have a Republican governor in the state of Vermont. And Vermont is a very blue state. Democrats carry that state by probably one of the largest, if not the largest, margin in the country. And you have plenty of Democrats in Vermont that are happy with the Republican governor. Granted, the Republican governor in Vermont looks nothing like what you see on the cable news, what you hear coming out of these Republicans in D.C. He's much more of a reasoned, intelligent person, the governor of Vermont. But, I mean, Vermont is a state that continually elects Bernie Sanders with very high margins. And they have a Republican governor who is also very popular, who also wins by very large margins. And the Democrats in the state aren't trying to strip the governor of his power. You know, this was really a big deal back when, I think it was in 2018, the governorship in Wisconsin went to a Democrat. However, the state legislature was still controlled by Republicans, and so they quickly made moves to strip the governor of his power, to take power away from the governor, move it to the legislature, so that the Republicans still had the power, not the governor. And that's something, like I said, it's very Republican. That brand of corrupt politics is very Republican. Katie Hobbs, the Secretary of State in Arizona, called it an attack on Arizona voters, and I agree. You have voters in a democracy that elect a specific person to do a specific job, and if other actors, bad faith actors in the state, decide, well, we're going to take power away from that position because we don't like that the voters elected somebody from the other party, then you are attacking the voters, because they're the ones that made that choice. They said, we want this Democrat person to be in charge of this office, and you're taking away the power that the voters put in that person's hands. That's what it is. It is an attack on the voters. It is a continuing attack on democracy itself. Republicans so want to do away with democracy in America. They are beside themselves with it. There are too many voters out there, blind Republican voters, who will equivocate and dance around trying to come up with BS defenses of Republicans doing this. They'll play all kinds of logical fallacy games trying to defend corrupt ass moves like this by the Republicans, and it is just corrupt. It's corruption. And it's un-American. It's also unpatriotic. But that's the purpose of this video. Please, if you have family, friends, or if you happen to watch this video and you live in Arizona, please contact your state representative, state senator, contact the governor. Let them know that you do not want this kind of politics played in your state. It's not right. It's unpatriotic. It's undemocratic. It is un-American. And thanks for watching my video. I hope you all have a good day.